Hello, fellow Raiders. Today we're talking about 10 things I wish I knew before I started playing Arc Raiders. This is information that is helping me even after 25 hours of playing and being a level 26 character. So what do you say we dive right in and talk about number 10? To kick things off, we're talking about tracking items. When it comes to your gear bench or items you want to craft, there is going to be a little flag called track resources, and you want to make sure you enable that for anything important that you want in your stash or for your inventory or that you need for upgrades when it comes to gear benches. So when you go in and you're looting different containers and you're going to different rooms exploring, they're going to have this little eye icon on top of it, and that's the game pretty much indicating that you have tagged those items as important and that you are looking for them. Leveling up benches is really important, so it's really nice to make sure you find those items that you need to make some progress and you feel like you're improving your stash, you're improving your inventory every time you're going into raids. This leads me into the next thing that I wish I knew, and that is upgrading Scrappy. So we talked about the importance of tracking resources and upgrading your benches. Well, Scrappy is just as important, if not more, and he gets his own segment here because the longer that I play Arc Raiders, the more important our fellow companion becomes, in my opinion. As you make progress in the game, you want to focus more on the higher tier resources and getting more blue items, more purple items. You almost feel like you're wasting your time going back to basics, getting some of the more uncommon materials to just craft another shield or some basic materials that you needed to craft. And that's where Scrappy comes in clutch. He's a little bit different when it comes to upgrading because you kind of have to go find some really kind of weird items like apricots, lemons. So you're going to be finding yourself looking for trees at times, cactuses of that nature, a cat bed. Yeah, Scrappy, we love this chicken. I got mine with a little cowboy hat. He's so adorable. So I'm not going to go into detail on every single item and its importance because as you play the game, you're going to realize. But one thing I did want to mention is the seeds. He's going to give you seeds, and this is really nice because those seeds come in clutch when you go talk to the trader called Celeste, and then you can actually turn these seeds for a variety of different items. And you're not just trading seeds for uncommon materials. No, you can get some blue materials. You can even get purple materials. Some of these are like capped or limited, so there is a reset. You want to make sure you use those seeds before the reset is over. If you notice, there's materials that are really important to add to your stash. The next thing I wish I knew was that there are special map events, and there's one called Lush Blooms, and this is the one where if you go onto the map and you explore the vegetation area, you're gonna find an abundance of those type of resources that I've been mentioning, and these are the resources that the chicken really wants. So instead of spending a long time looking around, it's like, where is a fruit basket, where are the olives, where is the apricots? The Lush Blooms can just make that so much easier, and you can pretty much get it done in one run if you're lucky. There's another map event, and that is the night raid. So some of you might have already tried it, and if you haven't, good luck, because they are terrifying, full of intense situations, very scary. But night raids obviously come with more loot. There's got to be a reward for all that risk, right? And there's more than just getting extra chances of loot in a night raid. There's actually 2 times progress for what are called trials, and we're going to talk about trials later. All right, so I'm talking about these resources you want to get. Now you know if you find it that you need it, but where do you actually find these resources? Of course, when you hover over the map, there's going to be certain locations that have like highlighted for low tier loot, mid tier loot, high tier loot, right? Like the valuables. It'll indicate whether it's industrial, and you can find like batteries of that nature. But this is where we got to give a shout out to a external resource that is really good, and it's an interactive map. I'm going to put that interactive map link in the description down below. This interactive map feels like cheating. It kind of lets you know where certain arc enemies are going to spawn, where you can expect to find certain materials as well, like weapon caches. And this is all extremely important as you continue to level up, because instead of running around the map, wasting time trying to figure out where certain things can spawn or where they're located at, the map can give you like a rough idea of where it could already, and you save a lot of time. Plus, you take a lot less risk just running around like headless chickens just to get to the destination that you want to get to. Before we get back into playing Arc Raiders in a raid, we have to take a look at our settings. The settings are extremely important. One of those is just reticle change. So you go to your reticle settings and you can actually change it from like a crosshair, and you can change it to like a circle, and you can add a dot to it. It can help improve your aim and overall make the gunplay feel better. On top of changing the reticle, obviously keybinds are really important in your graphics. I'm going to quickly show you the graphics that I'm using. One notable shout out here is the foliage. Turning down all that like vegetation, I guess you can call it, will help you spot raiders a little bit easier, and the game still looks really pretty even with some of my settings being like all the way down to low. And the last thing when it comes to the settings, something I wish I knew before I started playing Arc Raiders, is the importance of certain keybinds and knowing them. Being able to change the shoulder to shoulder view keybind is extremely important because you can have the right side angle and it helps you peek from that side a little bit easier. But if you try to move to the left side of an angle, like not so much, right? And that's where changing the shoulder perspectives comes in super clutch. Honestly, don't sleep on it. Make sure you are practicing that. All right, next up is number 5, and this is what loot to get. Something I wish I knew immediately when I started playing Arc Raiders. When you see all these different colors, different resources and materials, and you defeat some other raiders and you see their backpack full of different items and your bag is already pretty much full, you are overwhelmed trying to figure out what exactly you need to bring with you. Earlier we talked about tracking resources, and that's one way that helps you, but another thing that really helps is just understanding valuables and what is most important to bring out that is going to help you long term. Having heals is really important. Having an abundance of weapons is really important, and overall resources, of course. So I would advise keep your eyes out for trinkets. So trinkets usually have like a diamond icon on them, and these you can sell. They will not be recyclable or used for anything to like craft items. You just sell them and they give you easy money. Other things I keep a lookout for are weapons. So I want to make sure my vault has an abundance of weapons. I look out for specific weapons such as the anvil. You have to keep your eyes open for blueprints, and that's another thing you want to keep your eyes open for when you are looting is the blueprints. Blueprints you extract with them, right? And once you consume them and you learn them, you can actually craft those items in the future. It's super clutch. There's a lot of them to find. Speaking of money, let's go ahead and talk about the next thing I wish I knew when I started playing Arc Raiders, and that is how to use your money. So you're selling weapons, you're selling trinkets, and you're getting your money up. You're immediately going to spend that on the stash to upgrade the slots, which is not a bad idea, but I advise you to hold on and take a look at the traders. It's really important because some of these traders have items that you can only purchase one time, and then you have to wait a certain amount of hours for it to reset. So if you take a look at Lance the Clinic, he sells a combat augment rare, which is incredible. You can slot blue shields onto it. He also has a looting bag that you can get, which helps you carry more loot. And then there's like a purple shield. You can buy blue shields, but they're limited, right? He has a limited stock, and then you have to wait a certain amount of time until you can purchase it again. And this applies to every other trader too. There's going to be different weapons. Sometimes it's like an anvil. You can see it here. It has a limited stock 3 out of 3, and the anvil, in my opinion, is one of the best guns in the game. So I want to have a stockpile of those. So it's a good investment to put my money into that. You can spend some time taking a look at the traders and really figuring out what you care about purchasing the most. Since we're on the topic about currency, you're going to be spending a lot of it, and before you know it, you're going to be broke, right? Maybe you bought too many items from the traders. You took advantage of the limited item that you didn't want to miss out on. You just upgraded your stash and you're broke. So you need to craft items, right, from your benches that don't require currency, but you're broke there too. But honestly, take a look at your stash because you might not be as broke as you think. You have to understand what different items in your stash can actually recycle into. And let me give you an example. So if you need a specific item that gives you metal parts, you can get those from Arc Alloys. You recycle the Arc Alloys, you get more metal parts, boom, right? Pretty nice. But let's say you're out of Arc Alloys. So you can look at different items, like blue items, such as, let's say, an Arc Motion Core. This one you can recycle it and you actually get Arc Alloys. So do you see the way that it like funnels into the items that are really important? Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the second thing I wish I knew when I started playing Arc Raiders, and that is investing a lot of time into the trials. When you hover over the Raider tab and you look at the third bubble, there's trials. And there are 5 different types of quests here with stars. When you hover over them, it tells you that if you reach a certain score, you get different rewards for it. And at the max score, it tells you that you are going to get an epic reward, which is a purple. And this is some of the best tier loot that you can get in the game. It actually has like a reset as well. It could be a couple days depending when you're watching. You want to make sure you take a look at that and see which of these type of quests and trials you can actually complete as you're playing and doing your raid. If you get the 3 stars, you get a guaranteed piece of epic loot, and that is pretty free, to be honest. Some of these are not too hard. I haven't seen all of the different trials that you can get because it hasn't reset yet, but I'm assuming they're going to change, and there's going to be some easy ones and some more annoying ones. So you decide which ones you want to do. I think it's easier with a squad. And earlier in the video, I mentioned the night raids giving you 2 times progress for trials. And that's what we're talking about right now here too. Because if you take a look on the bottom left of your weekly trials, it tells you that you get 2 times points on a major map condition. So you go in the night raid and you could just easily bang these out. It's super fast, especially the ones related to arc enemies. There's going to be an abundance of them, so it just makes your life so much easier. Just make sure you're careful and extract to actually secure your progress. So before we go to the number 1, I want to do an honorable mention, and that is how much to bring into a raid, or what exactly to bring. This is pretty important because you don't want to go into a raid underprepared, but you also don't want to go over prepared, because if you're taking too much that you don't actually need or will use, you risk losing it all, and then you're burning through resources from your stash pretty fast and you're gonna get broke. It's important to find a balance, and I think it's gonna be different for everyone, but I will share my personal balance of what items to bring and how many items to bring. So let's say from a pretty standard base loadout, I like to bring 5 basic bandages, 5 shield rechargers. If I'm rocking a weapon like an anvil, I like to bring 2 stacks of heavy ammo. If I'm using a light or medium ammo type of weapon, I like to bring a minimum of 3 stacks of ammo for those weapons, as they can tend to run through them pretty fast. If I'm using a sniper rifle, not even a full stack of ammo is required. I'd bring like 15 bullets for it. And that is pretty standard. You know, I get some really successful runs. They don't have too many items in that kit. Maybe you can add 1 grenade to it, but honestly, you don't need more than that. But if you're trying to do a fully stacked loadout and you want to be fully prepped, I definitely like to bring some higher tier rarity of bandages that will recover more health. And if I know I'm going into a raid ready to fight some big heavy arc enemies like a bastion, I bring extra ammo, like another stack or 2. And I know to people that are already playing the game a lot, this is probably like, okay, I already kind of know this because we figured it out. But when I started playing the game, dude, I would have loved to know like how much to bring, because I'm bringing too little ammo, or I'm not bringing enough heals, or I'm too scared to bring certain amount of things into the raid because, well, I don't know what I'm doing. But hopefully this helps some people. Okay, raiders, so we made it to the end of the video. We're talking about the last thing I wish I knew before I started playing arc raiders, and that is going to be where to put your points in the skill tree, because there's 3 paths. There's conditioning, mobility, and survival. I'm gonna just say it straight up, I think mobility is the best path. There is so much value here, because if you're new to extraction games, and maybe you already play extraction games, but you can admit that having to run out of stamina just sucks. It doesn't feel good. You sprint for 2 seconds and then your character is just huffing and puffing, and you're like, bro, please just run a little bit more. I'm just going to say it. I think mobility is the best path, because whether you play extraction games or not, you can admit that running out of stamina just sucks. It doesn't feel good, and it annoys you because you just want to keep on running. You want to dodge, and you don't want to slow down. You don't want to hear your character huffing and puffing. And this is where mobility comes in clutch. There's a lot of ways to increase your stamina here. There's a way to get max stamina increase. There's a way to make movement drain less stamina. There's a way to make dodges drain less stamina. And this even helps you with movement. You can dodge further. You can slide further and faster. If you like to jump off buildings sometimes and you're just too scared to do it because of all the damage you take, well, there's a way to reduce that damage, and multiple ways to keep improving your character to just not stop. And in arc raiders, being able to just not stop and keep going is super important. Now, don't get me wrong, I still think there's a lot of value in conditioning and the survival paths, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing as I continue to get more levels. I'm personally going to conditioning for now. I'm going to invest like 15 points before I pivot to survival. There's a lot of value here that increases stamina, helps you with speed, helps you with like encumbrance and just weight. So that's kind of where I'm looking at, and I'm going to continue to explore as I play the game. Well, Raiders, that is the end of the video. I hope this helped many of you. Let me know what you think. If you have any more things you wish you knew when you started playing Arc Raiders that you wish someone just told you right off the bat, if you could go back and tell yourself, dude, make sure you do this or don't do this, put it in the comments below. You never know. You might be helping some other Raiders out there have a better experience. Anyways, take it easy. Drop a like on the video. Catch you later.